Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Watson Michael from Ceylon Institute of English and Leadership. And once again, we have Miss Shinjini Das with us. So she's a great entrepreneur and she's the founder of the Das Media Group, where they have an international clientele. Also, she has been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, and multiple other magazines. And the most important thing is, in 2021, Yahoo Finance named her as a top 10 motivator, which is a great achievement. Also, she's a speaker at the US Department of State. So Shinjini, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Michael. Thank you so much for having me again. I'm very excited to be here.
Great, thank you. So we're going to talk about your book, Shinjini, one of the best books which I ever read about motivation, right? So can you let us know why you named the book Unapologetically, Shinjini?
Yeah, it's my life story, Michael. It's my life story as an immigrant, as an engineer, as a new person in America, as all of the above. It's just my life story, how I became a go-getter.
Yes.
Because to be honest, I don't think it was natural for me. And I would say that for most of my audience who are mostly poor, struggling, Africa, Latin America, Asia, I think most of us are not conditioned to be go-getters. So I mean, as I was telling you before this, I'm still struggling now with like, okay, I have to put my entire media company online and I have to build a website and I have to do this. And sometimes like there is a real desire to hide, and for me to just kind of hide and maybe privately exchange with my clients. And, I don't want everything to be public all the time, but I think that now the world that we're living in is sort of demanding me to put everything publicly so that, guess what, more clients can find you, more go-getters can find you, more audience can find you. So I think I'm also noticing that I'm struggling with that because that's not my natural inclination, right? Which is just to sort of put everything out there and go for it and build $100 million company. Like, it's so scary.
Absolutely.
To think about, not to mention I don't have any role models, so I think, I think that is my story, that how did I become a go-getter in my own way? Obviously I haven't made it to that level yet, but how did I even start, and even that is an accomplishment for the people following me, who are mostly brown and Black, and coming from underprivileged backgrounds.
Absolutely. Progress is progress, no matter how slow, right? So
yeah, definitely, I agree. I agree.
Absolutely. So can you tell what's so special about this book?
I think I've thought about this a lot because it's been out for a few years and I've had, as I mentioned to you, thousands of copies sold and even more read, because I actually have this new program, Michael, called Go-Getter Fam Media Sponsorship, where sponsors are paying us for me to send the book for free to really just, like poor kids, underprivileged kids. So thousands more have actually read it versus just how many are sold. And I'm also listening to all the feedback. And I think the biggest difference, or I would say what makes it special, because it is a biography and there are other biographies out there, in fact, of more famous people, more well-known people. But I would say that the biggest and most special thing, and I'm very proud of this, is that these kids, especially young people, are reading it, Unapologetically, Shinjini, becoming a go-getter changed my life, it can change yours too. And they are not only seeing themselves in it, but they are also feeling inspired to go get their own goal. So I
Yeah.
think a lot of the feedback has been, what does a go-getter look like for me? What does that look like for me? What are my goals?
Yeah.
What is my vision? What is my destiny? And I actually think that is pretty unique, because I don't read every single biography and think about myself.
Yeah.
If I read a biography of a famous person, I'm pretty much thinking about them. I'm thinking
Yeah.
that, wow, he has come such a long way from
Yes.
poverty to now president. I don't know. But I think what's pretty amazing is they're reading my story and finding themselves.
Yes.
I would say that that's actually really, really unique. And it's not even something that I experience. And I love biographies, actually. I love biographies. I've read a lot of biographies. I read a lot of biographies. I don't necessarily see myself in that story all the time.
Yeah.
I see them. I
Yeah.
see the woman, I see the man, so I think that is actually really, really unique. And even I don't know why that's happening.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful that it's happening, because I would say even like my interviews and even my content, again, there's a
Yeah.
lot of motivational, speakers that
Yeah.
because they share their own story, very struggling, everything. So when you read those stories, you say, wow, that person has really struggled. But
Yeah.
people read my content and think about themselves and their path and their goals. And I think that's really different. That's really different.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So,
Yeah.
great. So would you mind, like, do you have any special chapter or chapters you would like to discuss about?
Sure. Yeah. I think the one about me being a shy girl. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think,
Reminds me, I was also shy. I was also shy when I was very young. Okay.
see,
And I'm
and
improving these days.
yes, and I have been overwhelmed with DMs and yeah, direct messages from people saying exactly that, that they were shy or they are shy. And it's a tough world out there for shy people.
Yeah.
It's a tough world for introverts. And so I think people are really amazed by my growth as an introvert and as a shy person. So yeah, I think that chapter has been the most meaningful for me. And even just my own story. I mean, it's so hard, Michael, to
Yes.
uh achieve your goals while being shy.
Absolutely.
you
Very
know
true.
and how do you sort of find the confidence within to move forward when you're so
Correct.
shy, you are so inhibited, you always are scared, and that was actually me for more of my life than I would like to admit. So I think for me to kind of go from that to like even just making it like 5 years, I think has been a real, accomplishment. And I guess how did I do that? I mean, a lot of it is just self-belief,
Yeah.
because when you look at it, like, what is the alternative, for women,
Yeah.
especially? I mean, it's generally minimum, um, you know, um, paying jobs.
Understood.
It's not very exciting. It's
Mm.
not particularly empowering. Like,
Yeah.
what else could I be doing with my time, and I'm not necessarily happy doing any of that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think somewhere that keeps fueling me, and that still keeps fueling me to where I start speaking up, speaking out, going after what I want, and becoming a go-getter. So I think that, and even now, that's still such a special part of my story, I would say.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Definitely, I agree with you. So, before I come on to the next question, let me tell you how this book helped me. So, there was this chapter I was reading, and you hated the swimming lessons, but your mom kept forcing you to do that, right? So, it is so difficult, but you somehow you forced yourself and you learned. So, there were
Yeah.
times like when I was also getting on to new projects and all, like I felt like giving up some at certain times. But then
Yeah.
this chapter, those words clicked me. I was like, okay, you have to go through pain if you want to be successful, right? It's not an easy thing, right? So those are one of the things, I mean, like it still helps me when I think of that, right? So when I'm about to take up a challenge or when I'm doing something which is a bit difficult, right? So nothing comes if you be a couch potato, right? So
That's right.
it's great. So how will this book help other go-getters?
Yeah. I think what I'm probably most excited about, Michael, and as I mentioned to you before the interview started recording, I have very, very big plans for this book. I mean,
Yes.
we've just about scratched the surface for where I think it can go. Obviously, we've had, thousands of copies sold and, thousands of readers, but guess what? I think we can have millions of readers. I think we can have billions of readers. And so my first priority is to scale this book in a very big way, distribution wise, all of that. And so, and I think to your point, it is sort of the story of the everyday go-getter. So I think the other comment that I've received very positively is that it's very relatable. It's very relatable. A lot of different people can see themselves in my story, from the shy part to being an immigrant, to being an engineer, to being a female, period, to just starting a business. I think that is not so much people have done that. It's that people want to do that. People want to do that. So I think what I'm excited about is that it's providing a nice manual or blueprint, for how this can work and for how this can be and how this can behave in the world. And I think I'm really excited about that, because when you think about like relatable inspiration, I don't think that market is very large,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think that I'm really tapping into that market, of just relatable inspiration, that you read this and you say, you know what, I can be my own go-getter. That's pretty powerful.
Definitely.
And somebody else will say that, okay, I have worth too. I can start cleaning windows or what. Like, I think that's the beauty of it, is I'm not saying that everybody should be a doctor or something.
Absolutely.
After my story. I'm saying
Absolutely.
that, what are your goals? This is my story. What is your story? What are your goals? And so I think that's a great, thing to focus on, not your beauty or your hair color, or your skin color or your shape. I'm asking about your goals.
Absolutely.
So I think that's actually pretty powerful. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Yeah. So basically where we are now is I'm expanding distribution through our sponsorship program, because I'm now getting so many sponsors. My media company is getting so many sponsors to keep sending the book for free to these kids and others, but who cannot afford. So the baseline is you have to be, struggling basically to get this for free. But because of that, we're reaching, thousands more. So I'm excited about that, because look, money is of course, one objective, but I would say for me, the bigger objective for me with this story is accessibility and reaching the most people as we can.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you will do that within the coming months. Right.
Yeah.
And
I hope so.
Definitely. And could you summarize this book in one word or one sentence?
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's relatable inspiration. Relatable inspiration, because I would say the biggest feedback, Michael, that I've received, on Instagram on this is none of the examples are relatable.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and even Indian, even Black, even, it's like a Black NBA player.
Right.
Yeah. The likelihood of a Black boy becoming a professional basketball player.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's not that high, and so I think we are sort of seeing these examples of this one, person who is a president of the United States, but if every person, you know, thinks that they can also be president, guess what? Majority of them are going to be disappointed.
Yeah,
You
true.
know, you know what I'm saying? So I think what I'm very proud of, that my avatar is customizable, is customizable. So the Michael can be a go-getter and can be a cook at a restaurant, and Shinjini can be a go-getter and be an entrepreneur of her own company, and they are both sort of equally happy with their own life, you know, however that life may be. So I think I'm actually really proud about that, is that there's a lot of customization built into this model versus follow the president. And by the way, I don't know how, I mean, so I'll give you an example. Hillary Clinton ran for office, did not win.
Yeah.
Now, if every girl is like, I will also run for president, and then she doesn't win,
yeah,
and then she becomes sad, that's not a good cycle.
True, very
right?
true.
So I think what I'm providing, which is, I actually, the more I think about it, I realize that it's very different from what's in the marketplace now, is a relatable, achievable inspiration.
Wow.
Achievable. The goal, the key word being achievable. You know, because you follow all these singers, actresses, and all. I mean, what is the likelihood that you're going to become a singer? You know, it's low. You know, or you're going to become an actress, or you're going to become a dancer. I mean, it's not that high. So I think what's happening is that young people are sort of seeing these examples, you know, and then they're like, well, I can also make it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Right. And then they realize that it's actually a lot harder to do that than you may think. And now they're getting depressed, whatever, suicidal. So I think I'm approaching it in a very healthy way, that what are your goals? What is your dream? What is your purpose, mission, you know, desire, you know, all of it. And let's start from there. So I think that's a lot more achievable, right? Than I want to be size 0000. I mean, you know, and I talk about this a lot. I mean, if you're Indian like me, I mean, you will probably never be size 000. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have to shift that model, not give up on that, but I have to shift that you know, vision, because I will never be size 000, you know. So but then, because that's not me, you know. So I think that's what's really different, man. And as we like, that's what I'm saying, as we go, that's why I was telling you before this, like, I'm actually now pretty excited about putting everything online and putting everything out there in www.thedasmediagroup.com, so that you can see it all and see that, okay, I'm a go-getter. Let's do this. Let's do this. You know, and that becomes a lot more empowering. Size 0, I'm fat, I suck. So I think that I'm providing a sort of alternative to, you know, what's out there, I would say.
Understood.
Do you agree? I mean, you're my
absolutely 100%.
Do you agree?
Everyone cannot become a doctor, everyone cannot become an engineer. And by the way, when you mentioned Michael a cook, yes, Michael is still a cook, right? He cooks a lot, and favorite hobby is cooking. I've been cooking since I was 11 years, right?
See? No, but also, like, I'm trying to make a point that I cannot force everybody to be a doctor, and you might actually be happier as a chef, right? And she might be happier as a, you know, nurse, and that's okay. Absolutely. You know, that I think I'm trying to build a no judgment zone, you know, that you do what makes you happy.
Correct.
Do it. Go get it.
Absolutely.
So I think that's different versus like everybody has to be size 0. Everybody has to be a doctor, you know, because that's also not practical, I would say.
Absolutely. You know? Fair enough. Totally. I agree with you, right? So it's comes to a concept, lead without a title, right? And definitely. And for all those who are watching, yes, you can follow Shinjini Das on LinkedIn. She's very active on LinkedIn, and she posts some great content. So you guys can look at that. And her book will be available on other mediums during this year. So stay tuned for that, right?
Totally.
So she will update you all on LinkedIn and her social media platforms. And the final message, Shinjini. What is your message to all the go-getters?
Yeah, I think you have to go get your goal. You have to think about what your goal is and how do I go get that goal? Because I think too often, and by the way, this message is for myself also.
Yeah.
Too often we're hiding. We are, too scared.
Yes.
We think we have too many barriers. And at some point, which is why like my own struggle now is to bring everything up into the public, up into the forefront, is at some point I have to decide that I want to scale this business. You want to go back to medical school. Somebody else wants to start high school at 50, whatever the goal may be. And you have to just go get your goal.
Absolutely.
Now, you can say that there are barriers. I don't have money. I know that there are, a lot of barriers, but I think something I'm noticing, Michael, is when you decide to walk alongside the path of your goals, so like for me, it was starting the business. It was, forming the name. It was, starting to speak or whatever. Like when you make those first 4 steps, I'm actually noticing this seriously. God helps you because God is like, you know what? This is what I like made you for. And I know that is very true for me. Like God definitely made me to motivate, people and to, help them see themselves and all of that. He knows that like, it's going to be hard. You're going to be poor for a long time. But he made it so that like, I have survived, I haven't died in the process, and so I think that that's my message to go-getters is that, you have to go get your goal. And guess what? I know you're poor. I know you're broke. I know you are struggling. But once you take those 5 steps, I think God, comes in and makes sure that you don't, fall off. And I think that for me has been the last 5 years, definitely a struggle in terms of, everything, cash flow, audience growth, all of it. But I think now I'm at that point where I'm like, wow, I can really see a future, of hiring, of growth, of clients, of companies that I want to work with and help them build content, and more go-getters who will come to our platform and having our own platform and my own podcast. And like, I can actually like see these dreams. And sometimes even in the last 5 years, I was like, man, I don't even know. I don't know if this is gonna, happen.
True.
So, and I think that's all of us, at some point. I don't think I can graduate. I don't think I have enough money to even stay in school. I mean, I hear stories like this every day. So I think, but what I'm trying to say is when you take that step, I think I'm noticing that God, does something. Either you get, a new credit card or just something happens, to where God is like, you know what, don't give up. I'm here. It's going to be hard, but you're going to make it and you're going to see it to your 10-year anniversary. And that's how I feel, man. I'm serious. I'm serious. I mean, there were times in these last 5 years where I was like, I don't know, man. How is this gonna, grow? Because, unlike a lot of people, I don't think I had lightning growth on social media, lightning. So that in one night, I went from, 10,000 to 500,000 followers. It was not like that for me. And so as a result, you are sort of wondering like, is this going anywhere, or like, should I quit, or, but that's also my demographic, man. That's my demographic. Those are my followers. My followers ask me all the time, about themselves, should I quit? Should I quit? Should I quit? Is there a point? And so I'm telling you essentially that there is a point. You have to figure out what your goal is. You have to go get that goal and know that God is really watching, and because there's so many instances in my life, Michael, over the last few years where I'm like, just little things like advertising, stuff that I needed, to put my message out there, to put my story out there. We've done a lot of advertising in magazines.
Yes.
They sent me the bill, and I'm like, I had no idea it was this much.
Okay.
And, I mean, I'm talking like payment plans and this and that, but you know what? I did it. I mean, I paid everything off. Zero balance, but it took some time, to get there. And it took, for me to just like say things like, hey, like, let's do a payment plan, let's do this. And God, I felt God through that process, because I'll give you the caveat. Most of those advertising spaces are so expensive and prime real estate in digital media that no other people of color, I was noticing, were getting those spots.
Okay.
And sometimes I was also like, what's the point, man? Like, there's a reason why there's no other brown person here. There's no other Asian person here. There's no other Black person, because this is too expensive. But there was also another voice telling me that, no, but you have to lead. You have to do this, because if you don't do this, like, who else is going to do this? And by the way, it's going to go to another white person, which, God bless white people, but when are we going to come up then if everybody still is white?
Okay. Yes.
So I think, so just things like that where, I just said yes to the feature, and then the bill comes and I'm like, this is $5,000 to advertise. Are you kidding me? And I figured it out. I, sold some content work and content creation, and did payment plans, and we got, and some of those articles you can still read today.
Excellent. There you go. It's freely available. So all you have to do is just Google Shinjini Das and you will get it in the chat. Right?
No, so I think that's the advice, man. Like, I could have easily like backed out, said no, said what's the point? Nobody else has done this. Who's brown? Who's a female? Forget brown. There was very few even white females who had advertised in the places that I've already advertised in.
There you go.
But I figured that, man, somebody has to like do this, and God didn't let me fall, didn't let me stay in debt. Because the minute I sort of got that bill, I went to work, I did some payments, and eventually, not overnight, but eventually everything was, paid. So, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's the story.
Great. So there you go, guys. Right. So thank you. So thank you, Shinjini, for taking your valuable time and doing this podcast with us. So all you go-getters, you heard the message. Don't be a couch potato. Go ahead and achieve your goals.
Yes.
So
go get it.
Yeah, absolutely. So be go-getters.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, right. All right, Shinjini, thank you.